Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with maybe a familiar face if you've been around the business as long as I have been and as long as this gentleman has been. We were just talking about that. Lee Rosen, who's the president and founder of Trace Technologies and Trams. And many of you know Trams. Many of you know his client base and things like that. He was the guy behind it all. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history of his company because it evolved. He sold it. He's bought some of it back. And it's kind of a very interesting story because he still really oversees the back end technology for a lot of travel agencies, a lot of travel consortiums. So we're going to talk to Lee all about that and a whole lot more on Insider Travel Report. Anyway, so yeah, so tell us a little bit about the background of your company today. You originally developed Trams, which was a back office solution and database, I think you also developed client base too.
Yeah, sometimes, James, I look back and I think we kind of did this in the most confusing way we could for people. So my apologies. But hopefully I can help to decipher a little bit.
Yeah,
We
we're gonna
originally
talk.
started.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because I have to admit sort of lost track of you the last few years and what you were doing, but it turns out you were doing what you always did and just more of it, right?
There's a little gap in there. So, I'd like to say I had time to do my walkabout, but
Okay.
certainly the last 4 years been at it strong and growing and foothold. And, look, things keep changing, things keep moving forward, and it's exciting. To be honest, I kind of feel like I'm where I really want to be. And that's pretty exciting at our age, right?
Absolutely. So remind us when you developed Trams and what exactly it is, okay?
So trams we use for that name for multiple purposes. The company originally was called Trams, Travel Agency Management Systems. Kind of a funny story. We just luckily backed into that trams is smart spelled backwards. We had no idea when we incorporated. So actually, it was like 2 years later we found out. So we were a tagline of the smart solution, if you will.
Right.
And it was a back office system. At the time we said newer technology. It was kind of a mini computer environment back then, and we were one of the new to be PC based. A lot easier, a lot more flexibility, a lot more capability. It was it's funny, we call them CRSs back then, but it was a GDS centric world. So we would capture data from a reservation platform, typically the GDS, and then back office would be all the historical reporting, who owes, who's paid, advisor reconciliation, preferred suppliers, all the way through the general ledger. We actually launched Trams back office in 1988.
Wow, that's before I was in the business. That's amazing because I got in 91. So you ran with that, and for a while you basically dominated that back office solution for a lot of travel agencies and a lot of travel agency groups, right?
We had a lot of success, getting agencies. We're a little bit North America focused at the time.
Right.
I think being a newer system, if you will, at the time, easier to use. We also were $75 a month, not tens of thousands of dollars kind of thing, and we were able to pick up a lot of clientele. What also helped was we launched, which is funny, everybody knows the CRM tools today, but when
Right.
we launched our client-based product, CRM hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
We made up a name. We called it AIM. We had like a target that you see with people with archery, and in the middle we called it AIM for Agency Information Manager.
Oh,
And the idea was to take that, start from the back office, but the agents would have it and they could see history, they could see marketing profiles, they could put contact management in, and then eventually we even added reservation management. Today we call that a CRM project, but client base was born in the mid 90s before CRM was invented. That kind of picked up those two products together a lot of the leisure market space because agents wanted to know their customers, wanted to do a better
yeah.
job of marketing, wanted to participate in the programs, and then wanted to manage their reservations and their processes the way that made sense for them.
Okay. So you ran trams from roughly 88 to then you decided, I believe, at a certain point, and I lost this part of the story, is you did sell to Sabre. Uh,
So we launched Trams in 1988, client
right,
base in 2005,
right.
and then, sorry, 1995, excuse me. And
Okay.
then and then just after turn of century, we launched our marketing services. We call it client-based marketing services. And the idea is all these agencies have all this content from travel history and marketing preferences and follow through, where they went, who they went with, how much they spent. So we would help to consolidate, roll that data, and then run marketing programs. And we were really growing with those three products.
Right.
Sabre came to us in 2006 and said, they saw a match. They liked the glue that we had
Yeah.
integrating with the booking engines. And frankly, they made me the EVP in charge of everything leisure. So I had Sabre Vacations, I had Sabre Tours, I had Sabre Cruise, I had the biggest hotel platform in the world. So it was an interesting content opportunity. And yeah, we, Trams Inc., with Trams back office client base and client-based marketing services, sold to Sabre in 2006.
Okay. So, and then they had it. You were working with them for a while. When did you leave Sabre?
3 years after the date my contract ended, and I moved on, 2009.
That's and you moved on. That's the way it works, I guess, in these days. The way it now,
I I think in all honesty, Sabre does a lot of wonderful things. Every company has their niche, but I'm not a big company guy,
yeah,
and it was a little bit hard to really put all those pieces together. Certainly some powerful capabilities, but my kids were also of an age that it made sense for dad to be around, and I got to coach their teams, and I got to go back to school, and I got to do a lot of things that were really important for me as a person and growing. So it was a really cool time. I'm very appreciative. We've always had and continue to have great relationships with Sabre. Sometimes when you think things, have different expertises, Sabre is very much segment driven, not CRM back office driven.
yeah. So you left Sabre, and how long did it take? Because I believe you bought Trams back in, was it 2021? I can't remember.
It was, but what kind of happened in between there is
Okay.
that, the industry changes.
Yeah, it
Um,
has. A lot
you
of
know,
other database management tools came out in the market as well.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of other, pieces of the puzzle, no question. But I mean, when you look at it, there's really three big changes. I mean, one is technology change. Trams technology was distributed, meaning Windows based on people's PCs. And today there's a hosted world offers a lot of advantages: the technology, the accessibility, the platforms you run it on, the speed, the capabilities. The challenge is it's a whole rewrite. I mean, you basically throw away the old program and you start anew. So the hosted platform is important, but there's also a lot of changes in the approach, if you will. For example, and it's interesting, people that copied us kind of miss this, is everything in the old days used to be, before the turn of the century, people had a mailbox in front of their house, they had a phone in their kitchen, and it was all client driven.
Right.
Today, I'm reaching for my cell phone. I mean, everybody has it in their pocket, right? And we have our own email, we have our own phone number. So do you want to be able to reach out to people at the traveler level as well as the client level? And so the whole approach has changed. There's so much more online versus GDS centric. So what we look at it as, it was time for an update. It was time for new, better technology. It was time for a new, better approach. And then the idea is integrations. There's been a lot of advancement in a lot of areas. Marketing
Sure.
companies have stepped up. When you look at other technology companies have stepped up, and you look at companies that are doing reporting and analysis, and look at the roll up of different franchisees and consortia. So hosted, built to work that way, really enables a lot of capability. So the whole idea of Trace was better technology, better approach, better integrations. We launched in the end of 2000.
Oh,
And
wow.
look, we're close to Sabre. I mean, we know those people, and they looked at what we were doing and they said, this is obviously your expertise and not ours. And so we entered a strategic relationship that we took back ownership of Trams Inc., including Trams back office, client-based marketing services, all of the client relationships. And we did that in April of 2021. And so Trace Technologies, the new company, is also Trams, the old company. We've merged them all together.
Now, so you saw an opportunity to really update Trams, really maybe start from scratch for a database and back office system, right?
You're really well worded. It's start from scratch opportunity. We think the industry is smarter. It's using technology better. People approach. We think the approach of the integration from the booking all the way through the mid office management, the CRM, the back office, the client ITIN, the general ledger, and then working with other parties that want to use that data is making a lot of sense for the marketplace. And quite frankly, we're seeing that response now.
No, and look, I mean, there was a point where I knew certain consortium, you had to have client base, you had to have BitTrams, and they didn't work with anybody else. And I know a few of the consortium that were just like that.
Yeah, you'd have to introduce me because
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
well, what's happened is the consortia have become very good marketing companies, and they want data. And so, in order to have data, you need a system that integrates with a lot of booking engines. We're the only ones that do that, that have CRM components. And if you're going to get that data, let's use it for as many purposes as we can. Let's track commissions. Let's pay our advisors. Let's go to the general ledger. Let's have our vendor histories. Let's manage the data. Let's not have just one piece of the puzzle. And also let us roll up to the consortia. So what the consortia community has said is, look, if you have the data, you can play. And then what agencies have said is, this is the best place to get the data. But I don't know of anybody that said you had to have it. They did say you
I
can
thought
have
there was
it.
one major consortium that was very pushing it very hard. That if you really wanted to interact with them, you had to have trams, you had to have client base. But
I think you're talking about Signature, and they're very data driven, and so they kind of push for those benefits. And yeah, we have great relationships with the consortium community.
yeah. Now, so what is trams today, and how does it differ from what it was?
Trams is a very stable company with a whole lot of support and loyalty from its user base. It's not going to just disappear. We'll never make people convert, but it's an older technology. And quite honestly, we think you can do a better job and we can do a better job, and everybody benefits from moving to a newer technology called Trace. So Trace Technology owns Trams, the company, Trams, the products of the backups, the CRM, and the marketing services. And we're in the process of trying to incentivize and get people to understand why it may make sense for them to migrate to the new platform. We're also adding a ton of business just to the new platform, the Trace platform. But Trams users, the first thing they hear is like, oh no, don't take it away, please. I've been using this for years. I'm so happy. And
Yeah.
it's like, you never have to leave. There's no panic. There's no rush. There's no push. There's no cutoff date. But there's things you can do in a hosted environment. There's things we're investing. I mean, I've got 64 employees, most of which are on this new technology, and we're investing millions and millions year after year in the new technology. We're maintaining the old, but we're investing in the new.
No, and I can see what's going on, and that's really very impressive with what you've done now. Because basically Trace is sort of it has that you're developing a sort of a new CRM, mid office, back office, client itinerary programs, and that whole all of it together is now Trace, correct?
Exactly right. So it's a big project. The good news is we learned a lot from the Trams years. We've supported Sabre interfaces for 25 years and Travelport and Amadeus. We've worked Live Connect with scores and scores of online booking engines to pass data back and forth. We've supported users for years and years. So all that knowledge was used. I brought my programming team back together along with the new guys. And then, look, we're investing really heavy. And the good news is I own Trams, and the revenues from Trams are what's supporting us in developing our Trace product.
No, absolutely. But you've also played a role in educating travel advisors about travel technology with your now it's called Trace You. Uh, what goes on at these events, and how can advisors really take advantage of those conferences?
We've kind of taken that role of the non-GDS tech leader for the agent community. And
Right.
so can we help them to learn how to integrate these products? And look, I mean, not everybody is a computer expert. So, how do I integrate my email system with my CRM tool, with my word processor? I mean, we've been doing these things for years. So we try to provide a lot of different methods. Within the program, there's a lot of training, neat now because it's web-based. You can mouse over and get a tooltip on things. You can click on a question mark and it does a little explanation of exactly where you're at. So again, technology getting better. We do a series of what's a play on TED Talks. We call them Trace Talks. And so
Okay.
we'll have a specific integration with a specific insurance provider or tour operator or air consolidator, how to pass data back and forth and how they can benefit from that. We'll do in-person training. We'll do camps. We do an annual conference called Trace U.
Right.
Everything we do is trying to say, look, we don't do everything for everybody. We have a role that captures data from lots of places and manages it, but there may be a consortium you want to work with. There may be a booking engine you want to work with. There may be a corporate advanced reporting analysis product you want to work with. And so we want to help them. Companies like Onyx and Paymode will send a file that we want to reconcile to capture our commission. I mean, we work with literally hundreds of outside sources that take data or give data to us that it's a benefit to our customers to have those integrations. So we need to kind of, how does it work? And how do you deal with all the issues in the specific? What happens if I'm working with an Onyx rec and I get a booking from a hotel that's not in my system and I want to pay an advisor, and how do they claim them? And those are all the details that me and my team focus on and have for decades now. And it's kind of neat because people, when they start working with it, they go, "Oh my gosh, this is really cool." I was talking to someone this morning, and we look back. Our users manage about 60 billion a year in our software. We estimate about 20 billion times 25 years has come from Sabre interface. There's some crazy stuff that happens in a GTS interface. To have that experience, to be able to address how best to handle these situations, how to move data, how to update data, how to, use that automation to the best of its ability so that it supports the agency community. That's our whole goal.
Now, is there anything else you want to tell our 125, I think it's 126,000 travel advisors right now about Trace Technologies and about what the future holds?
First, in my Southern California accent, it's, dude, you've really hit it out of the ballpark, man. Congratulations, James. That's a lot of agents following you. That's neat to see. You keep going long enough, hard enough, and real, and good things happen. And so, personal congratulations to you for that. That number is outstanding. Look, we appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. The door is open. I think that if people take a look at our technology, it is a little convoluted today and a little confusing sometimes. What does an agent really need, and how much should they spend, and how much training is involved? And I'm in certain situations. I work over here with this host, but sometimes I work with this consolidator. Sometimes I work direct. And how do all those pieces come around and move data, and how do they participate in the best marketing programs? The encouragement is, look, technology drives this industry, and to us that is just absolute key. When you work with a company like us, we have huge resources to bring these pieces together. We have experience to address the questions and the challenges and the confusion. I've got a sales team. They're more than happy to do a demonstration for an advisor, for an agency, a group of advisors, however you guys want to best come to us. But the encouragement would be to do your homework. Take a look. It's time to take a look at Trace. It's a new program, and we're seeing a huge migration to it right now, which is really encouraging. The neat thing, exciting thing for me is we see the benefits. When agents can integrate from the booking engine all the way, the data electronically comes in, and then they manage the reservation, the deposit, the final pay. They may have to do a trip statement or follow through. They advisor management. They're tracking their commission. They're tracking their supplier productivity. They're paying their advisors. It goes to their general ledger, their income statement, their balance sheet, and that data automatically shows on the client ITIN. It's pretty special to be able to do business that way. And we're getting, I guess the most exciting thing for me is the agent response, but also the allies response. So if they can make it easier to help you sell the products you want to sell more efficiently, more effectively, more economically, everybody's a winner. And that's where we fit our role in. So if any messages, appreciate the opportunity we've got, emails, easy, sales@tracetechnologies.com. Take a look. We'd be more than happy to set a demo up and provide information. But I think it's pretty important in today's world that these agents have the tools that they need to be successful. The integration with booking engines, the CRM capabilities, the database capabilities, the participation in marketing programs, the tracking of their commissions, the management of their data. And look, man, that's a huge asset for people. And to do it right is really important to the long-term success of the advisor community.
So you put it all together, and because there are so many sources now, a lot more than there used to be, but you're also getting the experience of watching as, over 30 years of travel technology, and you've seen it evolve, and you kind of, hopefully that means where it's going.
We've had some success in the past on being creative and super excited about where we are at Trace going forward with that. And the advisor community that you serve so well has been very good to us over the years, and our intention is to keep going forward. And it's exciting when you can bring the pieces together, and love to show people how that comes together now.
Now, where can travel advisors go and travel agencies and consortia to learn more about Trace Technologies?
Website is www.tracetechnologies.com,
Okay.
and email sales@tracetechnology.com. And I have one of those super convoluted email addresses, lee@tracetechnologies.com.
Yeah, that's really a hard one, Lee. I don't know.
Sorry. You're more than welcome. Any questions? Appreciate the opportunity. I think a lot of one-on-one makes the most sense because that's where you can ask questions. And it's interesting, as many advisors we work with over 41,000 North American advisors. Everybody has unique approach and questions and background and history and things they want to know. So we're not going to throw in a big group demo. We're happy to set up a one-on-one and make sure questions are answered.
No, that's great. Well, Lee, first of all, it's great to see you again after so long. It's been too long. And I
In
really
some
enjoyed
ways
our.
it's long, but James, in some ways it feels like we're just getting
I
started.
know, as I say, we could just be pick it up after a long time, but it's there's some of us more veteran people out there, but it's always good to talk with someone who knows the history and understands, where we've been and hopefully where we're going. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time, and I wish you all the best of luck with Trace as you evolve and sort of retool the technology of the travel industry. So it's kind of your mission, I guess, at this
It's
point.
forward home, my friend. We keep going, right? And it's work, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you ask me, what motivates me, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I get to do what I love to do in an interesting industry that's changing and have an impact. And what more could guys like you and me ask for?
No,
Uh,
it's been a great industry to cover for me on the journalistic angle, and I couldn't think of a better one, to be honest with you. And whether it's technology, whether it's new ships, whether it's hotels or tours or whatever, it's certainly it's a business that is
and
constantly evolving, right?
And see, for me, like I get excited. Someone will make a booking with a tour operator and they import that automatically, just hit the button, and then it's on the client item. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to touch it. They didn't have to add images. They didn't have to add, tags. It's just automatically there for their customers. And people are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And that is the reward. And it happens every time we do it. People are, and different people want different pieces,
Right.
but that response is what is so motivating. And look, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of work, but it's what I love doing. So to me, it's a great opportunity, and I'm having so much fun. I feel like a little kid.
Well,
I
you're back.
mean,
That's why you stay in the business, right? Because travel makes you young, right?
I started in '87, and I have the same outlook and excitement and whatever love that I ever had. I mean, what more could you ask for, right?
Absolutely. Well, Lee, again, thank you for taking the time. And I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.